Mr. Snake, you have to understand, Mr. Snake is a commenter, he's a viewer like you, who's a subscriber. And I'd like you to subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't. I'm going to talk about how 100 grand, 100,000 shares can turn 100 grand into some magical revenue. And you can't do this with a job. You can do it with Tron TRX or a crypto that years ago was 4 cents that Mr. Snake commented on. And the way he thinks may be the way a lot of you think, and it's not his fault. But I will tell you some words of wisdom. You can't find many businesses where you could take $5,000, approximately a little less, and 5 years ago you could have bought 100,000 shares, and then in a short period of time, if that crypto coin goes up to just a teeny weeny dollar, you turned your 5 grand into $100,000. Think about it. Wouldn't take much to even get to a million. Now, most jobs, you can never do that. Now, you could have no business acumen, understand absolutely nothing, work a job, save a small amount of money, and not have to do anything except put the money there, close your eyes, and not be upset about thinking about it or talking about it years later, because when it takes off, it's going to blow the doors off any job or any business most people could ever have. Because to have a business, you need to train employees. And before you train employees, you need to be able to pay them. And before you need to be able to pay them, you need to find a business to get into. And to find a business to get into is not just getting into it. You need to understand many aspects of it. And you need to be very, very good at certain revenue generating activities. And in most businesses, that involves sales and marketing. Whereas with crypto, if you understand headlines a little bit, you understand opportunity, you understand if something makes sense enough, where there's enough excitement around it that you can tell the difference between smoke and mirrors, pure hype, garbage, and trash, and something that has a chance at actually being legit, you can take your $5,000, dump it in there. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion and just my experience, and I'm using numbers as an example. They could be far lower, they could be far higher. The numbers are not etched in stone. But the point is, Tron TRX, along with many other coins, but as an example, because I make Tron TRX videos on this channel, among other types of videos, I talk about entrepreneurship as well. So, if you just took a measly amount of money, I know 5 grand may be a lot to some people, I understand this as well, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm talking about just in general for an investment, a business. What business are you going to get into for 5 grand that you're not going to lose all your money 100% if you're not already great at that said business? And most businesses cost a lot more than that. So you have to understand, you can't complain about talking about Tron TRX 5 years later just because it's gone from 4 or 5 cents to 35 or a high of 45 cents, and you'd like to see it go much higher because you want to make millions of dollars in a short period of time, within a year, a month, a week, a day, an hour, whatever, in the crypto sphere. You can't look at things like that. The world does not work that way, and that's the way you're going to get slaughtered. But if you can appreciate the power, the strong points behind not having to figure out what business to get into, not having to be very good at specific things, not spending years of time getting good at those specific things, which also costs a lot of money, not having infrastructure, not having to pay employees, not having to deal with the politics that you deal with when you have to delegate tasks to people, deal with different personalities. It's very multi-directional in most cases to have a business, and it's going to cost you a lot more than 5 grand. So what am I saying? Be happy something like a Tron TRX exists, because for a small amount of money, you can make the kind of money that you would never make, most of you, in a million years in a business, positioning yourself with that small amount of money and not having to have that deep of an expertise of understanding to be able to swim in those waters. Comment down below, let me know if you found this useful, helpful, if you agree, disagree, what your thoughts are, and I'll see you on the next video. Oh, you know what? Let's take a peek just for fun. I wonder if I'm on the right screen or if it's going to send the whole thing into a turmoil. You know what? We'll take a peek on the next video. Be well.